Adishima me damo asese munyina bretwe me yekoto nkra ya be ye nodu kasebo no ye toa so nene enkomo enura yidi ye no ne fa foforo so aba enti ye betoa so ene de enura samo be kai anadwo ye nodu kasebo no mu no ye ne TUC twetwefo abedi akire na fe pani a wo hwe oman mu achechefo kubatan nat won so maketua ene wo mu ye hu nsam so na ehia ofi hanra ekasa ye fa akatuantu Mohamud 9 a nchimu 9 a 4% aban ene mpanyifo hia na wo de ato oman mu aban adwuma yefo akatua so na sanse medi kan ebo ho dawuro kire mu se ebinom bonjo so na chirichirimu a TUC edemaye ene se wo ne aban ko asetena no na se trapata committee no ko asetena no wo dwedwe ne mahodo bebre ho ma aban de to manim se enfie da ene mu anya de obeyi odwuma ni bi adi afa no achi nso ebefa bi no aka ho afa no achi nso COVID-19 yare ni ntino eso moto vaccine ni bebre na ye de ewo nkrofo eno ne ada niama bi na aban ejina so e de 4% aban kra kasanka wontu ahwe onto so akatua no so kra na omso mo negotiate ya na 4% ne bae na so eko bi asori ekoyi asori womso kire se the economy who did the coalition against the leadership of TUC and organized labor. Ne say yekuku ado maka bomu a wo mo so mo sorete TUC impenifo na fe impenifo da nyumeku anasa banyumeku ahodro ano no wo mo so wo mo esorete a wo mo na 4% no mo so mo mpene na de na mo hwehwe wo mo so mo gina brepa e wo ho no de wo hen nti na se de nra enya TUC penifo ane natin penifo no mudi nkomo fie nene yesaka owura Emmanuel Azubila Salam wono anaye executive secretary Adama coalition against leadership of TUC and organized labor ono no temi benkum so peyi na yewo Ibrahim Adams Mumuni wono no ye director of operations Adama coalition against the leadership of TUC and organized labor omumienu na mo no bidi nkomo ene anadwe ebiafo makwaba bibia boko dia good Manchester free also executive secretary wo se mo ye coalition dey nim say ye kuku awdo na maka bom mbetumi acheche ku mo members ni bi ku no bibia mo free bae
yo me that say ni boy dey no e free coalition against TUC and organized labor in favor of Ghanaian workers. Now ye akuwa huro bebre civil society organizations and if any say labor unions no empenimfo a omobonyo so enioma ompenimfo e de omo kwan ompenimfo de omo faso aya kan ho abom ne kan se yetumi eboa na yekoma ankrankra omotifie a omoye nyumayefo a enioma ekoso omo nyina ka se yempe na nso omo voice entimi no bedwam and I can't home now. You share Abrantia or start Fix the Country campaign. I have Anthony Moke. Or can it ye kuno Sansona, ye free Adam GH, anchoring democracy advocacy movement Ghana. Sansona, Nagrat, any teu for empenning for any baby, my for nurse and penning for I can't home near say. Ye free a coalition against yankase ye leadership omo ye tue dues ema omo every month if ye pay slip so abota nyina ne se omo mfa sa dues no emfa emmo ye dwuma ho ban na se de ebro ni kasa fe no good condition of service no se ne be ya ye nwuma sem ne ye edwuma ni ye die betuma konanim na baby aduru de ye hu se akwai se ye mpanimfo no ede ye tubebo adwe ene se mpanimfo be kwa asetena na ye ti o mamo anim se enioma afiwe nkwa from January to July ye hwe taxes ahodo any transport fares any fuel prices any nioma ne prices akosra so obi kotena se na se we opinion we di wanim na watimi akohwe nyame anim aka se o ma 4% salary increment na se be period we ya widifo and say you cannot survive it and adding say obe survive with that 4% salary increment. Now when ye bisa ye ho say ye hwe ye disa issue ba ye be say na otweni na me no ka say kita almost 13,000 Ghanaian workers following us currently on our social media platform, that's Telegram, within 1 week. This tells you say Ghana for ayeye dwuma no ye bunyu so na man for e bisa ense maako mienu say na o man ya say COVID-19 aba ye nyina ye ho kire yen na e fe ne say ya ketua mpo de ntumi ntena say 4% ena de be ma ya hu say article 71 holders de e bi de ma ketua mpo de tum be say 60%, 70%. Now you see leadership by example. Yes, say a comma banner say nyina ye need kakra na say ye ncha kakra na nso ya enne nke so obi edi na kakra na wo wakofa kantema e de su enim na me de wakofa aditi kakra bi de be si so e comma banti no momfa ne sa de ne ya hu say akwai say 77 mpradasa
sisie bi obabi
sisie e na aba
wotie ti using penifo no mo leadership no mo koye no Ibrahim Amra also said wotie nsama o mo kan say what went into the negotiation for them to come to that conclusion say 4% no woman can some de be aban kra can say ahokyere wo ho ntanya do beto mukura enti omo de 15% na call ye na so buduru ho na aban say o ma hwe so da bi yenso ye mpene enom ne aban kan ya ma do be do that 4% no so they even fought on your behalf and amunya sa 4% no aban say wo ma hwe wo matumi afate nya fo amamoa and also
yo opinion say o hwe the ejuma eriama TUC mpinimfo a ejuma bi a asede o muso say omonko fight in the interest of Ghanaian workers. So we share over the past few over the years about the issue of negotiations. Government biara from Rawlings to whoever have been defensive. Government crowd on ya put the anchor, move negotiation crank, say zero crowd and go pay. Because at every time biano or better on the onya on the foot and find improvement. They do sa negotiations that it has always been so. But it takes leadership and what some money members now say no mo kan no o ko negotiations e ade mienu me crop me constituency no omo family backgrounds and the living conditions me bra me giri say me no oti ayi we share from January to be saying there say na me bra ka no nyama nko yi o sa o Ghana ha o and nyama na nko yi fa prices increment in prices no amma the purchasing power sika nipa won nsem de beto ade nya no aswat enunti say uwo leader or constituency almost at TBM a na say okwa obviously government will always be as government or defending who with justifications and on the way about to win what is who position also the core here OTBG 4% at the bio and then he sent to fraying the TUC chairman called us before the press conference and he said so person new bet nasia and then my official letter never who position now what the core tripartite meeting if I can share what was your position amba and I'm going to a steering committee meeting Thursday main meeting and these two meetings you know, for the past 2 years there has been pressure on the TUC chairman to convene this meeting on that but it took the coalition your intervention the more journal fresh steering committee meeting esa be emergency meeting entinu ye hu say eye buapayobi na your leadership no eye na omudi koji sa 4% the bible if indeed omu tebu tibia ye Ghana for workers for ye komu pa say ende odi sika ko jomo anya obetimi ato no ntimi nsantan to biom ade be chia I'm sure the government the listening government that we have no and they would have listened to them and say look 4% you be him and we feel say they man fight the way they are supposed but the reason some of the brain back say it was COVID the COVID impact then there we don't agree
na ka me ba so no ye nyina nim say o can say we not in normal time say the imakan no say ye tibia na mu odin ye dan a yare na ba and I share reasons in suntia omo arrival at that 4% na say omo disa ohamu nchemu 9 no 2 mu na eho en chirechiremu ben na mo ne tisufo ene labor union payfo ni share di nkomo no womo ede ma mo a che say enu ti no more arrival at that 4%.
As a matter of fact, I said, in a buyer, who be so more, they haven't come back to the constituents. And be my explanation, T, but in 4%. In some seminar buyer, I feel I say, you media house near the double explanation Ghana for. But the fact is, yen a small, small move. Because almost 2 on no more biano and who's cabia in the chomka. They take it from the workers' salaries. And therefore, say, once you have that opportunity, no. And you always said yes, say, ukwana sa ankoyi ye kwana before ukwana be penny ube sign, you have to come back to your council to explain to them. Bibi wa yakodu, ni enti e ho ase. Then we will rally our support behind you, but you didn't do that.
Asema okay, wa madwuma me na kakra. Yima enra me yase naka ebre wo mu a anka ebetwitwa nkoma me ne
I followed it.
Yes, TUC Deputy General Secretary no. Any NAT director or show mu salary any human resources BB so. BB say omo specifically this question say ebre omo ne panyifo hia ye emo to adwene wie ye no. Womo ene mo omo ye adwene mo gitu mu say ade we say na ye ne abayaka na 4% in yedru ama mo gidi say ebetumi abo ana and they said yes. Oh come on. Eti mo so de amode ba sese no na akokoye your words against their words. Emu de na efa yima
Openi Mama refer and Public Service Workers Union. Omo say union omo General Secretary. Last Thursday omo from the issue by ya TUC General Secretary eto nsa from omo no omo committee steering committee meeting. Na steering committee meeting omo conclusion omo ensem omo kan ni omo the petition e dey akoma Dr. Yaoba Anthony Yaoba na petition no eyi wasem na no one omo say the leadership of TUC and organized labor should constantly engage their constituents on unfolding events at the negotiation table in order to renew their mandate on the way forward, and should therefore be more strategic in the future negotiations. The outcome of your negotiation was regarded as unsatisfactory due to unilateral decisions without our involvement.
Sana who for na di we buy
Public Service Workers Union.
Okay. Yeah, Belgium ye for no.
Almost a union for mo nyina hye TUC ase. Na hwe petition omo ankasaka. Omo say Secretary General any Bamfordado wo Closac. Akwa say omo mienu na ye signatories to approval of some of these salary increment and those things no. Obenhu na omo mienu kude na omako. No, omako agree be so now. They don't come back to tell the people say even their own regional executives are not aware of this.
Really?
I bet you. And you know, the reason why I call it we have and say, you know, these union leaders have a perception or it's a norm that anytime they go to government to negotiate and agree on anything, nobody question them. Oh, yeah, na baya adwin ho, yeah na. Mra na ma ye kwan say yen ko.
Na mo bargaining power no.
Bargaining power. Well, we work out baby no. Take it or leave it. This is the first time a coalition coming out to tell the leadership of TUC and organized labor say, we will not accept your decision. Because all the time, people blame government and it become NDC, NPP politics. Oh, and I increase this percentage this year, and I'm more than say. So that the union leaders, who are our lawyers, who are represented at the tripartite committee meeting, they will hide and go and sell us out. And take note, there is no government in this country, starting from Rawlings, ex-President Kufuor, the late Mills and Mahama and all of them. There is no government that will not like to have a union leadership that are lenient to government or sympathizers. So even when it comes to our union leaders elections,
now catchy.
I'm sorry, nti se ba ye union leaders no abato se yen koto aban yi ye union leaders na e different tinyina no e na aban e push ne nkromfo ewrem e bi ye disika e bo amoma de ko wini elections se na be ya aja so ye party bana so wini a obe ma on fa pressure be nto aban so enko e ka se ke medwuma efo yen ko strike na de ade nti they always fight, they always make sure say and confer omabe lead various unions no eye omo party ma. But pedi bi to say Kofi Asamoah wo ye the predecessor to Dr. Anthony Ban. Papa yi head TUC regardless whichever regime and obai or make sure say in 2010 workers enya single spine. Police for another those days omo frɛ mampo esi ompa omo mpene because aketia no wow enso bibia a teacher for de na omo mobo almost all government sector na aketia ne shada enyefe enyefe e take the leadership of Kofi Asamoah to insist and fight and persuade and lobby for them to implement single spine. Yeah, implemented single spine 2010. 2011, the same Kofi Asamoah work here my to my focus by 20%. Kofi Asamoah in 2012, fight here my to my focus by 11%. And they say obia or ye abofra na se penny a ye juma our ketia esun dibiano so ko to dwanima obom pa edema or penny Kofi Asamoah because this is a man who fought for the welfare of Ghanaian workers.
Yebehwe Kofi Asamoah era na de aba eye yewura ai banso era. Yenum se ewura Kofi Asamoah era na bia na sikasam enhyeda the world over the world economy no se ne akoti bia mu ayumumu no bia na entisa. Enti yefan say na abache say COVID enti are you not satisfied with the explanation for the government say COVID ninti amesi kasama to ape se ka se be ne sa amafo be kire mu ye ka se ye ne sa ye munuanom so wo fie nuanom wo fie no ye fa mo adwumam ye be ebinum de akofie enti sa je se awo se mo anje 4% na employment come be freezing as for enye
am say sa nhyenhyemu no hyemu na ento aso
sa
e san say wo hwe 2013 2014 2015 wo hwe Ghana bakosemu a na your memoir in one of the most difficult situations as a country under doom so. I remember the number of small scale and medium scale businesses as a result of doom so. Let me say at that time na ban no chiro o pesika kura ko top power budget kura ba abeso agena na o so anu na so but some way somehow no they go some but even in that situation look at the percentage former leader negotiate government was still using this excuse and a power no agin same and a business that collapsed but they still insisted there it's say a bit affected Ghanaian workers on push ya good I think 10 or 11%.
Yes, the list was 10%.
The list was 10% at a time. And just by saying COVID is global within our local economy there was a disaster. But even with that, leadership was able to stand their grounds. And only 10% my. And you know, sir, comparison is not with the mind there. I think
the leadership no negotiate here. No more mechanics. I say, be a near bank or okay, any a buying and I say any tripartite committee. You could share no. Almost say almost fashion mo by a lobby man could do 4%. Okay, and then more the money. Yakobo and Crawford man here. Almost 2 months. You better say about. Omanya be
would have been engaging and one man would have also even be siding with them because I think with the Yaba system. But you know what way? Ye said send a small so because when nothing like that happened, we can say that on authority. Say nothing like that happens. I feel on changing narrative. They should look. We share on Posha. Call meeting. A bank actually say one of the things Oben say Oben retrench workers. Yeah, catch a chairman of TUC. Abraham friend say, "On labor law, there's nothing like retrenchment. The worst government could have done is to engage in redundancy. And redundancy crowd by labor law crowd. Some of the workers crowd would have been opted for because redundancy comes with a package. It's so juicy. And I can give a classic example of what happened with Vodafone and Ghana Telecom. A brand Vodafone G Ghana Telecom. No one will say, work as Ghana Telecom. Most of the human with the introduction of technology. So they introduce redundancy packages. People who are not even affected because of the juiciness of that, I'm going to apply it. If government had gone for that, a lot of Ghanaian workers would say, and they pay no, let me go set me up. But government should himself, or mention redundancy more, on to me deal. So I expected as a leader who is leading us to know, say, government could using retrenchment as one of the reasons to scare you down, or to cow you down to submission. But you feel out of incompetence. But only one of the things that I high, if I teach hypocrisy. Make sure you have a we say Professor Ntiamu's emolument committee no forming and say propose you Sikama Article 71 office holders. I can say to president here and vice now. Do you know the release be by suggesting so omun jin tumuna or as they are criticizing that. Do you know that TUC had a hand in that report?
Really? The
head of research and the policy at TUC was the consultant to that committee. Check the page 2 of that report and see. The name is there, Dr. Kwabna something. He is the head of research policy at TUC, and there was no way, as a consultant, who may say Jumano, na boss, Uncle say schedule, and a man so the body appointing into that committee. In fact, that man he was one of the 2 deputies that were fighting for the position when winning. But that was Dr. Yaoban's person on Kobini, and I'm pretty for we can allow your boy to become a deputy. And you know, on our man the office of the IT. But this is the person who had the opportunity to serve on an emoluments committee. There was no way a report would have come to the president. Secondary unya but ucha onwa eso uzu voice be kan say oh na unti ase and I remember almost released by no office of the president Eugene had to ask them to retract and apologize and do the needful because as such is not the buy no ponu say you the vice president here president and him no. So these are the leaders we are dealing with. And the end here our numbers are building up. In 1 week, there were 13,400 workers. I have projected by next week, it's the 25,000 workers. Yet we hit a 50,000 mark by 10 days. Near Oman go back to negotiations. What we are saying is there are so many legal means of it at taking. And by the time we end with that process, they will not be in our office. Because you can
impeach you on somebody.
Do you know one thing? If the workers today agree, say, we mobilize assure one petition letter to government, any controller accountant say from and there more being deducted can be free salary mu and for ma do that you have
dues.
I
said no dues no more be anti dues no bit na ye kan nyina no I buy my example bio o ma chire mu wa say yenye sa ye be is the kind of redundancy ne retrenchment ni nasifoi and then no chikro no so nya nuro COVID nure esonya na owo workers nyina ma musum tumi nya hode ye adwuma na obedi ncheche mu se ya ba adentina mo pesa madu atum yima
openi eba COVID-19 yare a obi a bompa yese yentumi nsia no kwan Ghana enwuma yefo yeso yegitum se yare a yese yetumi nsia no kwan na entina omode tax eba COVID-19 levy a obi Ghana nyuma efo mpo na yaketua mpo esia peni still a yajetum se ebetua entina uti COVID-19 tax any tax I introduce almost 6 or 7 of them when mu nyina COVID-19 ho ahokyere ne bia na wo be ka kire me say the same COVID-19 me ameye work an bia mu no maketua na wo betuma ma me no yensan timu bi ne yensan fa wo mepane she say odwen wa wonti ase openi government workers aye kan enkromfo mo ho kire obo power Ghana ha public sector workers obi ewo public sector ne mabe 2-3 ewo university family demand send your politicians tell me almost all na almost say ana me constituent frame me sanso na the moment we busuafo hu se wo ye adwuma say pe o wo ye aba adwuma eye bia wanko bia wo problem na we na waketua mpo no bosu beso na enso odi na aban say metuma was 4%. Edi enti was COVID-19. Na mame emma sa survey we. This was a survey commissioned by International Growth Center and was conducted by Institute of Statistical and Social and Economic Research, headed by Dr. Charles Aka, at University of Ghana. Was it 885 small scale medium enterprises, that's a private businesses, lost 250 million Ghana cedis within 4-year doomsday period. This was the doomsday, and out of that, 55 companies collapsed entirely. Report no where statistics from a international research body. Now let's look at this 250 million Ghana cedis lost because of doomsday for the 3 years. Compare it to our loss in COVID-19 for the 3 weeks lockdown in Kumasi, Greater Accra, and Kasua. It's just something that is a peanut. So if even in this period, 3 years, doomsday, all businesses were collapsed. I know you TV, maybe that time you were using plant or generators. If not, you can come here and work. So companies that cannot buy plant, it means your business is just cannot exist. Even that time, Kofi Asamoah, who is your predecessor, fought, and the least salary increment was 10%. Yesterday, this old man came and he told us. Yes, and he told us that.
Where are you? Whom are you referring to?
Deputy Secretary General.
Secretary General, no.
Yes. Oka chere ye say ni enti a omo ni enti omo tua 2014-15 na omo tua 10% na eno no cost of living allowance. Our friend say cola. Na ye hwe cost of living allowance 10% ye gi 2015, 2016 and 2014. In fact, in Canada, the cost of living allowance, I think it's about 30% and 40%. Because what who says send me and who chere adoko amount for in my for Ghana before December, make 10 tons of reinforcement iron rods. 1 ton is 3,500. And ne make kwa koto asako flow me down. A ton is 5,600. Almost 70% increment. Cementa.
Almost cost of living allowance. I can't say we know. And no na yentua senate wo. Enti na no it goes against you because the more now to senate no and akwa retirement I betumi ahenhan wo. Enti so the cost of living allowance na so when to senate na it shall go against when you go to retirement. And also any
operi ye ka senate contribution ade a deadly emma senate workers say 4% we already buy. And then 4 days mama be a frame every even labor unions for the office was my brother yeah juma wo labor unions for no office but ye fo am kono so and saying I come in mfie miansa na makọ retirement na aka mfie miansa makọ retirement no me mpa ye bo nyina ne se ye tu marketuam 10% afi we na 2022 ye tu 10%, na 2023 me say 10%, me kabo man ka menya 30%. Me ko retirement on be calculate me salary. My 3 best years salary. Nti ebeye from 2023, 22 and 21. Na ye dey calculate e dey ama me benefit. Na sisi ya meji 4%, it means me ko retirement plan na 12% per menya.
So
in this case, how do you calculate?
Next year so 7%. Oma year for 2 say this year 4%, next year
7%, meaning they have increased by 11% for 2 years. And this is something that we are saying even this year we as a coalition even 15%, let alone the 11%. Now to talk of say 11% in MI for 2 years.
Now, but some by Ibrahim, some by money. Yeah, the leadership of TUC, any organized labor, edi nkomo mu coalition no akodi nkomo ma ọkyerem se da bibia mo de ade ne fa ne yempe ama ma to adwene ama ma ka so okay ebe hu bibi enti munya botrema ye anase mo hwe na ban mo sorry say mo press conference
but I think say yempenifo no edu baby a wo so mu omodi obu ni die e ma omo members kwa asem yi bae no ye sure ye press release ho na munya ye conscience na mo de food telephone e free na mo chirehire mo bu telephone so na mo sade a ade achia mo invite here to office ampa na mo send ye message eso dey bi eni die mu no untimi mfa WhatsApp invite a meeting say yembra Friday WhatsApp Friday say Monday yembra meeting ti ebe ya ye ku ayeso no ye de ye ho ntunu fato grata that share 70 no ye nya so what and one frame bi na ti ya na say akọ Friday wide meeting so mo mbra hall na mo ye steering committee meeting wie no mo ye general meeting no mo de ye coalition ye agenda for the meeting entinu press conference na mo ye on Monday no meet do ye Friday ehun susuaso ni friends on Monday press
Monday
omo ye no omo Friday meeting omo ye ehun susuaso no instead of inviting us officially as we told them and sadia ye be ye meeting
me bisa owura deputy general secretary enra say is it because ye atin hu say ekobi sorry atia 4% intino mo sa press conference no tin aye no okachem say
me say ye no na wo hwia we have every evidence here to show you wo hwia o mo letter o mo chiro ya wo say ye case emergency business na emergency only this one agenda it means assembly see wo say nya ba be kan wasem apart from nya kan wo hwi bi mu and on the agenda is there what coalition against the leadership of TUC and Labour Union. The letter is here, we can give it to you. Conversation here, chairman to here, we have recorded that conversation here. We can also forward it to you to see the echo. Until he tried talking to us on phone. Oba no sadia by text message 12 o'clock he share hall war Monday na see yamba. And the letter no officially for bra. Now as a coalition executive we discuss, we also demand and say oh the letter also bar for opposition letter point of paper or the call no fa letter no na yesu yembobo
as a position letter or the call
engineer so the 4% no on fan count or the bar na ke nya bobo hu na be hia no eno no ko frɛ general meeting so we FC na steering committee no mo ye Thursday no am ye general meeting Friday it was a meeting almost 20 general secretaries at the hall out of them about 17 of them have been on him say massa yeah, running union, sir. We have to have a steering committee meeting. Bobo, Niama, cause we don't on Tishi. On Tishi, and yeah, Jay Bayano, and I'm on sorry, Debbie, and no frame it. The meeting, no, if you ask those who went to the meeting, it was a blame game. I feel now, no suspecting growth for more money coalition, like it was full of suspicion. Way by and what they brought crowd on Monday to make my catcher on authority say it's not every member of that who supports what came out that day, but as part of the autocratic leadership in Tino and OSR.
I think what would you say a year leadership of TUC, a year rabada no and Komamo, it's a mini deputy Casayano. Was so one more komamo. Being a Christian, I mean, quoting his words, you know, being a Christian and being a leader, no, more workers, no welfare, they are at the Nakoma so power. They will surely they are fighting for you. So I say, I didn't know 0, more the 15 a coy, and a 0, or no more coin when you're 4. So my ye be papa.
Opening, young penny phone be sometimes or more cassa, no more say Ghana, and I say, or more actually before no. Eye enkwa bi say ye de na akotena position bi so say wono ene oye penin nti no the rest are just people without brains, excuse my word. Papa yi omo ka che wo say ne omo ye nyina omo ne fe ne say omo union for kasa no bisa ne say omo krata a omo de call tripartite committee meeting a fe ne position paper ebe peme ne omo union executives across boards obimpo eni hu paper no say ya ebe enne po na ye this issue ya babon te ye fight no obi ani ya request 2 times ni o man fa ma ye ena enim say position paper en say yen aye labor union so no ye ko negotiation a ye position ni aban so de position beba na position paper beba we employers so de mo position paper beba ne aban say okay ebia because of COVID-19 no afiwe mintu amoka nti yaboka say na wo so aka say COVID-19 nso aba no e de ahokyere bi e de aba ma members ombekọ ejuma fuel price yatum ombefa ka akọ ye ka sane ma we nyina boma ansha we ka bi betena fie a wonye ka esikampo emfa ka anko ejuma nti yesu position paper ni nti yes se aban wanye ABCD a enya de be di aboaye na employer so aba okay me na me form ejuma COVID-19 nti na mentimi produce ABCD enti at the end of the day no omo agree on one thing. This is what we requested. Enya adibia ehuhu bia fa opposition paper bra. Na ehu se ede na wo de kwa ban nim, we so nkan ntokwa. Na hwe ensem mo kan ha bebre no, metima ka se ahokyere a ewo Ghana enne ne nyina no eye enyumayefo aketu eye ntum. Unim ye ntua. Public sector workers eye over 700,000 people. Say uko areas bi to say areas are government workers also. Payday bia a happy day. Because you tiaka say one auto provision, one auto drinking spot, one auto day. Ejuma business awo bia no. Amount for to ade esan say ye tiaka. This shows that the public sector have the purchasing power of this country. And anytime they pay, we are reflecting in the economy. Those who are doing business will make a lot of money. And it is a subject to public sector workers, you know. Na so mo chira do na mo ntumi ntoshe. Wo je ne sika nempo na e ka aidan nim wo ntumi mpiempo enkonkoto drink ennom. Ne bampo so ope drink na abona no kan no tum na odna kwose dem. Nipa na water drink we ote shop no obetena ho adasa na ade ache no atum gba na okofie. So business are ewumpo no because of hardship and this anema way na public sector workers no. So as someone who is a union, all employers when they come in their position paper they have to also state these things say and enyumayefo aketua and ama yes business head ekwanim. Nti wo kotrase na wo beka kire say government initially near Babonte aye nyina yetiye and say any asema chairman of TUC Mr. Alexander Nyako Opoku Efrem kan and say o say ni enti omoji 4% to mu say government can say so man yen ntuma and there will be retrenchment. I want to make say in fact madi ho yawo wo hwe ye labor law na ye ni bibia e fe no retrenchment ni ewom redundancy. And for the first place our court na say ama aban e retrenchment, the word retrenchment is an illegal word. And they are threatening. Now we accept 4%. No. Then, ye call like you say sanko. Na kwa renegotiation. No. Ye diabo. I mean, we have your point. Because our word it doesn't exist. What is the meaning of retrenchment? Ye can say retrenchment. Retrenchment laying off workers personally or is people leaving work. To say be a wuyi amanfo edi. Na ye ka say redundancy affect individuals say me no wote hey. Redundancy affect positions. Enti ebia wo cameraman ya wote ya otwa camera yi. Now mo tia na cabo so mo se tia oka. Mo the technology bi aba wote ha na wo de phone betimi asset na camera no take yes yeti ha yi. Now one say here the service bi ma the position as a cameraman has become redundant. So you have to lay him off. That is the redundancy. But we not as a person no who use retrenchment and then why you need into we need na without any basis.
So why you need wo bra wo nya provision bi to control the camera.
To control the camera. So anything on the retrenchment by retrenchment word and a illegal word. So with the redundancy so redundancy so on the package. You share to say the mean you pay the kai. Emra na ye Ghana Telecom for eba ya omo the technology by ya almost sa nyama. Position bebre eba ye redundant because ye hia obi ba use laptop na wa ye bibia ehun hia sa fe na obi a wote ho egi sim card e wo ho obi a wo gi sim card na register book mu wo ho ye say obi fa sim card fa share fa slot email na bibia ba computer na so nti nipa ba ye 5 bo position na mo ye no redundant.
Okay.
You don't move off.
Enti say no. Ibrahim. What's the way forward? To say no, a day na mo hwe kwan, sima baako, a day na mo hwe.
Me never can say almost 15,000 and plus members on a Telegram. Ignite share live. We are under pressure. And the men can do that. 10 days nyamom. 10 days
go back to the negotiating table.
Oman Kodia, labor laws, there are a lot of avenues. I exhibit me activate Edia Kayasem. And then maybe back watch we can even activate another clause of referendum
against the leadership now.
Exactly. Or they are aware. And the full backing of your members say, look, baby, I'm paying for it. If they are not going back there, we can also adopt another system where say 100,000 workers and not 200 krona. If we have to get there, because near short grata, I suspend the 5%. I did more for reductions. Now, a whole answer. Then we will look at if we have to get new leadership in place. I'll bet me buying. I can say government to know, I want to know, or listening government.
Okay.
And that's where
Moko. Me dan say ima ye mami mo sima baako na wonso ebia muku emufo ehwe me ushika social media binu bisa so be den no madwe mu ne ma na batanya no ntini ye wa ha de na wo ka kire TUC labor leadership na fe labor union leadership na fe TUC for us to say be so dwe betumi aba
ye wa ha se se be nua ka ye no ye supporters and supporters ye workers are over 13 to 14. I'm told this evening, Pono. Your Telegram page are hitting 14,000. 14,000 members are almost share and then yeah, as leaders, they say you embarking on no retreat, no surrender action. I just say you young party are near the between and Hassan. And in penny for a share, no, just send the public sector, a public service workers union, and penny for any petition come Dr. Anthony Yaubano. Say on Sanko na on a buying Sanko to national 4%. And now say Saban so on Tiasia, one organized strike industrial strike. No one can say workers in Asia, Aban so on Tiasia, Moma strike. Say a man is sadia, and in the coming weeks, you know, TUC from penny for any labor union.
Meda say Emmanuel Azubila Salama, Executive Secretary of the Coalition Against the Leadership of TUC and Organized Labor, and Afe Ibrahim Adams Mumuni, one also a Director of Operations, Adema Ikukuria, Wamusamo Mokano, and Ryan TUC in paying for no Makasai and Afe, a nat for no Wakasama, Omcheche Muslims 4%, you know, they did their best. But which you would say their best is not enough for one more. Nti yebehwe minim say yese twema metwa de kora ma kora pai na asembia nsu ni ho a ye de seka na etuo na eka ye de ano ana eka nti mgidi say ye kan no afa hodo ni nyina ehwe etie na ebia fi oche na ekọ no betumi ahia ato adwene maso bia tumi aba no man Ghana yakoye nim nti moda masese wuni abre bae wo so hwe me so me da wo sese wuni abre na wo hwe me yehwe kwanse ho ayadoma yebesen hye bida mu nyina se medi de Jakwabena me ne obi ya open e de kasebo na ba masida e ba come special drink and na fe this way and na best point so muso ya se de kasebo ebrem yakramo ama mu nyina de yi